another day in the fish room. I'm mostly going to be moving a lot of fish around and starting some other projects because within 2 weeks I'll be receiving my first wholesale order from the airport, testing out some wholesalers for the store that'll be opening in the next couple months. But mostly these tanks are going to be where the new fish are going to land and quarantine. They're still cycling. I need to finish making the tops for these three and the last one's on the bottom. But I think I'm going to move these tanks around and move the fish around. We'll see where the day takes us. These 4 tanks are my failed Neocaridina shrimp tanks. Originally it was just shrimp in them. It was the red cherry shrimp, the blue velvets, the yellows, and the orange. The only one that's still doing well and producing a lot of shrimp is the yellow Neocaridinas. You can see we have a ton of shrimp in here. There's a lot of shrimplets in here. You can kind of see one on the front of the glass there. I kind of view this tank as like a mess. There's a ton of detritus worms in the substrate. If I were to stir up that Eco Complete on the bottom, a ton of stuff's kicked up. There's snails in here that compete with the shrimp for food, which I really don't like at all. The shrimp are still doing well. It's just not efficient as it could be. If it was just the shrimp, I think it would be doing a lot better, and I'd probably be paying more attention to it. At least scrubbing the front of the glass. The shrimp like feeding on the algae on the glass, so I leave it on the sides, but at least doing the front. I ended up putting mops of rice fish in with the shrimp when I ran out of tank space before I added the new rack. So these are some of the red caps that are starting to color out. The red cap kois. They all have different patterns, which is cool with these guys. But these are some that I have on the website right now. But I want to set up, again, the 4 types of cherry shrimp and have it that there's no snails in the tank, and I'm going to feed, instead of feeding like rapashi and other foods that would cause detritus worms if I overfeed, I'm going to try doing this food here, like this bacteria or Bacter AE. I got this from Flip Aquatics. But it's mostly just it creates like a biofilm for the shrimp. So it's not really like producing a lot of waste. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to have to move some of the tanks, like drain these tanks down and put a brand new tank in, like where one of these spots are. I might do it with this one. That's the only way I can ensure that there's not going to be any snails transferred over. I got a new bag of Eco Complete that I'm ready to use. I can't use it from any other tank because every single tank has snails in it somehow. I gotta somehow bring some plants over that definitely don't have any snails in it. And I'm gonna try to set up, at least in the beginning for now, a new cherry shrimp tank and a new blue velvet tank, and see if they do well. The wholesale order I'm able to get blue velvets. I'm going to order 25, where normally at retail price I wouldn't be able to afford 25 at a time. And I think starting with a larger colony will help reproduce some of my own, so I have a steady supply from the website. For some reason, I can get shrimp to reproduce really well in tanks with fish in it versus when they're shrimp-only tanks. And it's probably because I'm overfeeding the shrimp-only tanks and the fish aren't there to eat any seed shrimp that might develop or detritus worms that might develop, or even planaria. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with that yet. But these are the Japan Blue gold double sword guppies, really prolific. And I just realized yesterday that the cherry shrimp in here are doing really well. They have a really nice red color, and I haven't been culling this group because the focus has been the guppies, and I threw some shrimp in here kind of just to clean up. But if you keep looking, the more I look, the more I find really, really nice colored cherry shrimp. And these have been in my water with no additives at all. So I'm going to use some of the shrimp from this colony, and I'm going to move them to the newly set up tank and see how those do. Figured I'd show the Bacter AE because I didn't even know what this was when I ordered it. Rob at Flip Aquatics said that this is what he feeds his shrimp, so I figured, you know, it works for him, so it'll probably work for me. It's just like a powder, and the way I feed it, you know, you could just dump it and it has a scooper in there, but the way I feed it is I just like put my fingers in here, and it's like a cloudy, you know, it's not really like a solid food, it's just like creates a biofilm, and then the shrimp will eat on that all day. The shrimplets will eat it, the adults will eat it, and I've been feeding just that in this tank for the last, I'd say, month, to kind of test and make sure that this food is sufficient for them without any supplementation of anything else. And so far it's good. They've been reproducing in the last month, so that's, you know, they are eating something. It has to be that, so I think that'll work long term with the new tanks. I think this is going to be the first tank that I move. I'm going to drain it all the way down and disconnect the plumbing. And these are the adult red cap Medaka rice fish, and they look a lot better top-down view than they do on the side. So I'm going to move this tank to the new rack on the bottom there. And I think long-term my goal is to have most of the rice fish on this bottom row so that I can appreciate them in the top-down view. So far, I've had most of them the standard view on the side, and that's not really what they were bred for. You know, like I have a group of orange Medaka rice fish in this scape tank. And I think they look good, but you know, they're really meant to be appreciated top-down view. These are some that I bred that are also on the website, but they're meant to be viewed like this instead of on the side. Got the old tank moved onto the new rack without cracking it, which was pretty hard to do. And we got the new tank in its new spot over here. And I took every precaution to make sure that there was no snails transferred. I even changed the airline tubing and the tubing that was used for the auto water change system, just in case there might have been eggs on those. And I'm just going to add the Eco Complete here, let it cycle some more, and then either transfer some cherry shrimp in here or the blue velvets from the import. This tank will probably be cleared up tomorrow. What's nice about the Eco Complete is it has some beneficial bacteria with it as well, so that'll help the cycling process. And I'm not sure how I'm going to scape it yet. The long-term goal for this tank is to produce a lot of shrimp and make it easy that on shipping days I could just scoop a net in and catch a bunch of shrimp really easy and not take up too much time. So, you know, I might do something like this with the black Corydoras in here with the frog bit, and just have the roots come down. It'll help with algae because it's kind of blocking the light from coming down, and the frog bit obviously is doing really well in this tank. I haven't fertilized this tank at all. Or I might throw in the Cerulean stone from this tank. You know, it was a nice scape tank until the Pocostem and Stellatus octopus went a little crazy in here. But if I'm going to use these rocks, I think I'll obviously have to take them out, wash them really good, and then I think I'll let them sit in the sun for a couple days because there are snails in this tank as well. But we'll see. I might move this tank over or swap another tank because I would want them next to each other, the two different shrimp. That was a day in the fish room, kind of only focusing about shrimp. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.